Each and every week, us avid football fans expect to turn on the TV and see our favorite players out there battling on the gridiron, only to realize that they're out for the game, or even worse, out for the season. And it appears as though the situation is only getting worse year after year. So in this video, we're going to dive into the injury situation that is already plaguing the NFL. And boy, it is not looking good for our fantasy stats, which is why I've already torn mine up. And instead, I went out and bought the most amazing wallet ever created, and it's made out of titanium. Instead of wasting my money on a fantasy league that I can never win, I now get to feel like a real man with titanium in my pants. And it's cool, because what man doesn't like titanium? And they even have upgrades with carbon fiber goodies. Imagine that, titanium and carbon fiber. Every man's favorite two words he loves to impress his friends, family, wife, kids, and anybody who will actually listen to him with. So scan the QR code or click the link down in the description, or don't. Now, last year was really bad, and I'll jump into those stats in just a minute, but we're already seeing a continuation of last year's quarterbacks dropping like flies and skill players feeling the ripple effects. First off, let's talk about Malcolm Koonce, the Raiders edge rusher who went down with a season-ending knee injury only 2 days before Week 1's game against the Chargers, which my Raiders lost. And it's a big blow for the pass rush. Koonce was looking like a breakout candidate this year, and now we're left wondering who's going to step in to fill in the absence. Probably not our 7th overall draft pick last year. Gosh, I sure wish we learned how to draft. But the injury bug isn't just biting the Las Vegas Raiders. Across the league, we're seeing star players hit the sidelines at alarming rates. Just like last year, we've already got several starting quarterbacks who've missed time due to injuries, and we're only a couple weeks into the season. At this rate, we might surpass last year's total of 102 games missed by starting quarterbacks. Remember how Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, Deshaun Jackson, and Aaron Rodgers combined to miss 67 games last year? Well, we're on track to see similar numbers this season. Love football. Are these quarterbacks just made of glass or something? Maybe we should start wrapping them in bubble wrap before each game. But seriously, the impact is devastating. Just look at the casualties so far. Tua Tagovailoa, I'm just going to call him Tua, Russell Wilson, Herbert, and Jordan Love. These injuries aren't just affecting teams' win-loss records, they are wreaking havoc on fantasy football leagues across the country. Speaking of fantasy football, if you thought your season was cursed last year, well, you might actually be right this time. The ripple effect of quarterback injuries could be massive. Think about it. When a star quarterback goes down, it's not just them feeling the pain, it's like a domino effect of fantasy disappointment. Just look at the collateral damage. Tyreek Hill, Jaden Reed, Keenan Allen, etc. These guys who were and should have been drafted in the top rounds and expected to be fantasy studs. Instead, they have been left trying to catch passes from backup quarterbacks who probably couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. Here's where it gets really interesting. The data shows that when starting QBs go down, it's actually running backs who tend to weather the storm better than wide receivers. Well, this makes sense if you think about it. When we've got backup quarterbacks under center, you're probably going to lean on the run game a bit more. Well, unless you're the Las Vegas Raiders, who are dead last in rushing so far this season. It's hard being a Raiders fan. So if you're in a fantasy league, maybe start eyeing those running backs on teams with shaky QB situations. Just a little insider tip for you there from a guy who can never win. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or should I say the turf on the field. There's been a lot of debate about artificial turf versus natural grass when it comes to injuries. Well, the data this year shows that the difference between non-contact lower extremity injury between synthetic and natural turf is still negligible. So maybe we can put that debate to rest for now, or at least until the next star player blows out their knee on turf and reignites the entire argument on Twitter. Looking ahead, the NFL is focusing on a few key factors to try and reduce injuries. They're still evaluating the hip drop tackle that caused so much controversy last year, and they're continuing to review the kickoff rule to try and reduce concussions even further. as well as possibly requiring players to start wearing the Guardian mushroom helmets during live games. But here's where it gets really interesting and potentially controversial. The league is looking at high volume head impacts, especially between defense and offensive linemen. Now, I don't know about you, but messing with how linemen plays seems it could fundamentally change the game. Are we going to start seeing two-hand touch on the line of scrimmage next year? I'm just kidding, I think. Let's talk about what this means for the NFL and their future strategies. The backup quarterback market is hotter than the Gobi Desert. And if you don't know where the Gobi Desert is, well, neither do I. But I had to say something to keep your attention so that you wouldn't scroll away so that YouTube could send me enough money to feed my homeless cat. But seriously, some teams are even looking at carrying 3 quarterbacks, which used to be a luxury in the NFL. Now it's starting to look like a necessity. It's gotten to the point where analytics departments are having multiple conversations throughout the year with head coaches and GMs about quarterback strategy. Who knew next man up would become a crucial part of the NFL game planning? So there you have it, my fellow nut jobs out there spending the entire weekend sitting in front of a massive TV with a bowl of chips and dip flying all over the place every time a quarterback gets sacked, or they actually manage to throw a touchdown, which is at an all-time low in the NFL. And if you want to know why teams aren't able to score anymore, just watch this video right here. Until then, throw on your Guardian mushroom helmet, bubble wrap team jersey, and grab yourself a bowl of chips and dip and get ready for some football.